Hooray! It's Cyberfrog Blood Honey. So this is my Salamandroid cover. I have I bought all three of the covers, and I know that I'm expecting it to take a while for the first cover because I had one of the sketch packs, and I don't know what's going on with the third cover. I don't think they're all out yet, so I'm not worried about that, because the one I was most excited about was Salamandroid, because I just love the design of Salamandroid. Now, I did not know that the Salamandroid cover would be chromium, and that's actually pretty nice. But it also kind of makes me a little bit afraid to touch it too much, so I don't usually touch it too much because it's chromium, and I think that's why I kind of wanted the third one, because the team up cover, from what I understand, is not chromium. So like I was going to wait for that one to come so that I could review it, but I mean, I might as well just review Cyberfrog Blood Honey. So what I find interesting about this one, and I haven't seen a ton of reviews. I saw the one that just some guy did about how he liked it, and that's the only way that I know that there was drama all of a sudden. But I don't really care, because I'm a grown woman and I buy what I like the look of, and as far as I'm concerned, that's literally the only thing that matters. So let's go with part one. And part one, I really actually liked part one, and I liked it because I didn't know much about Cyberfrog when I started. Like, I knew, and I kind of missed the point of where you could get the Cyberfrog comics for cheap. So yeah, part one was actually really good because it just gave me that kind of like introduction. And I know that, because he changed the story, it's a different thing, but the explanation, the narrative was really, really good for me, because I felt like, okay, I know what's going on. Yeah, it's a lot of talking, but like for me, when I'm looking at artwork like this, I didn't really care about how much talking there was. So it was just a nice kind of like catching up thing. And so part one for me was highly successful. And look at Salamandroid. Look at that face. I really actually like, I think overall, and I guess probably I'm going to spoil it for myself. I probably would be much more interested in a Salamandroid story than I would in a Cyberfrog story. But I think that's for me, like, because I'm that kind of person. Like, I don't always like a main character. I really like Salamandroid. I would read a comic series based on Salamandroid. So part one is good because we get an introduction and we get to know the characters, we get to know who they are. And then of course we end with everything falling apart and we get into part two. And I'm not expecting this to be a long one because, I mean, there's only so many ways that you can say, yeah, it's pretty good. I liked it. But part two, is where we go into the actual story. So we get, things actually happening. And, I mean, part two is okay. Like, I don't have much complaints because it's like you get the action. I mean, seriously, okay, if I do have a complaint, it's this little line here where the pages are a little bit off, and I would say probably, you know, I would probably say watch for that, because it just kind of like, it just messes up my enjoyment of looking at the whole Salamandroid picture. And I probably wouldn't care if it wasn't Salamandroid. But yeah, so this little line thing bothers me. And then for part 2 also, I don't know, it's the longest one, and it's where we're getting the action, but it didn't interest me that much. And I'm kind of like, I don't know, I'm kind of having a harder time. Like, there was a lot to look at, and for me, I kind of enjoyed the looking at aspect. I liked the I liked this little villain thing here, and I loved the little fight that they had. I think that that was a good scene, a lot of action, you know, a whole lot of visual. Story-wise, I don't know, like, story-wise, it just didn't necessarily do it for me, but I like looking at I love looking at the art, and I love, like, just being able to pick at it, and to a large degree, because I'm kind of doing this review off the cuff, but really all I'm doing is I'm just reminding myself of how much I love this artwork. And I know, like, the light is getting in the way, but I just, like, I love the art. And so I don't know that I even was paying too much attention to the words, because I focused a lot on, you know, watching the art and just seeing, like, and just, like, visually seeing what was going on. And then it kind of, like, I'm not going to do spoilers or anything, but, you know, we get to part 3, because, of course, the, what are they called? The Vespis? Or am I thinking of another story? See, that's... I can't even remember what the bad guys' names are. And I apologize, because I just like the art. I really do. I think if there's one thing for me that is more successful and visually stunning, it is the art. And like I said, my favorite character in this happens to be Salamandroid, because look at that face. Look at that face. Look at that face. Like, I want a pet Salamandroid. So, part 3 is the shortest one. And, like, there's not really much to say, because it's Salamandroid coming back. And it ends on a cliffhanger, which, of course, I mean, it's designed to make you want to go and pick up the second one. So I don't mind that, but it just kind of like nothing happened. Nothing happened. And it really kind of like, it fell flat for me on that. And I kind of like, I'm struggling with this one, because this was probably one of the projects that I was most excited about. And like, I feel like I'm coming off as that I didn't really enjoy it, when I did enjoy it in the moment. But, you know, for me, I'm a writer. And like, as a writer, I can't help but critique writing. So it was a lot harder for me to get into some areas of the story when the artwork completely, you know, like blew away what the story was saying. And it's kind of like how I felt with was it Black Ops 1, where it was kind of like that same thing, where I did not like the writing. So after a while, I just kind of stopped reading the words and I just looked at the picture and I kept asking myself, okay, if it was a completely wordless, dialogueless, you know, comic, would I understand what was going on? And in Black Ops, the answer was yeah. And this one, it's the kind of like the same thing. Like the artwork is amazing. The artwork makes me want to stop and watch every single detail. The dialogue doesn't really interest me, and I really wish that part 3 was longer. I understand why it's so short in terms of the story, and because we're getting ready, you know, like we're supposed to be anticipating and excited for part 2, but I don't know. I wanted more out of part 3, especially if you're going to break it up into 3 parts. I guess I'm going to expect a 3-part narrative. And this gets into me being more of a writer who, you know, has worked with and has been planning like large universe stories and things like that. Cause it's because that's kind of the thing. Like there's always a lot of planning and stuff that goes. Now, I mean, this is comics, so it's a visual medium. So it's not like it can be as in depth, but like it's not usually as in depth as a novel. So I don't expect, you know, it to be like novelist quality of story breaking, but like the beats and things like that, I think we're kind of a little bit more of a miss for me. And I'm probably gonna go to part 2 because there's enough of a mystery that I'm interested in it. And that's the thing that I can say. There's enough of a mystery and enough questions asked that I'm interested in part 2. So I'm definitely and probably going to do part 2 when that one comes out. And if nothing else, I mean, look at the Salamandroid. Because that really, like, the Salamandroid redesign I'm loving the Salamandroid redesign. And seriously, EVS, if you want to make a Salamandroid comic and just do his story, I would probably be all over that because I love Salamandroid. I think he is probably my favorite character, even if he's probably not meant to be, but that's me. Anyway, that's Cyberfrog Blood Honey, and I've got I'm trying to do an internal count in my head at the same time. I have like 3 or 4 left that I need to talk about this round. This is one of the hardest things because it's like, I love Indiegogo, I love backing projects, but then it's sort of like, okay, then you have to wait forever for the projects to come. And I wish, I just wish that it was a whole lot easier, because it would be so much easier and so much funner to be able to have these things come out much quicker and be able to go to the comic book shops. But this is the world that we're living in right now. And for right now, this is what we're doing. But I liked Cyberfrog Blood Honey. And yeah, that's kind of how I'm gonna end. That's kind of how I'm gonna end on that. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share, you know, all of that. Yeah, and I will I'll see you in the next video. Bye.